So a subscriber of mine requested that I touch more on what Black women should be focused on when it comes to politics with this upcoming election and future elections. So I just wanted to give a general idea of what I mean, especially for younger generations, young millennials, and Gen Z, who can legally vote. Typically, if you seek out other Black women who are political talking heads, they're just going to be repeating talking points for either left-wing or right-wing groups, even for some of them in the middle. But most importantly, they're often talking about something that either has nothing to do with us or has very little impact or concern for us. For example, usually when a Black woman is brought up in Republican spaces, the first thing they can think to speak of is welfare. And they go on and on how welfare is destroying Black women because Black women are lazy and never work. Most Black women are not on welfare, do not have food stamps, and do not have whatever else people talk about. When Black women are brought up in democratic spaces, they'll bring up criminal justice and the police and something like affirmative action. The vast majority of Black women are not criminals and have absolutely no reason to be protesting against the police for Black males. Most cops could be racist, yes, but we have very little and even less cases of them unaliving Black women. And the beneficiaries of affirmative action is not Black women, but white women. Another topic that takes up a lot of time and energy that mostly has nothing to do with us. The type of people to be on housing assistance typically do not pay attention to what's going on around them politically unless they are elderly or on disability. So to ignore the majority of Black women who will actually show up to meetings and be active in their community when it comes to our issues and turn out a vote, and instead focus on another group is a waste of everyone's time and very ridiculous. I don't have to explain that foreign conflicts and issues with non-American or non-Black women groups of people should not our concern. We want to focus on upwardly mobile Black women, young Black women starting off their careers, and students, and what we all want out of our vote. So first off, it's important to know that your local politicians have a greater impact on your life than presidents. Most Americans are very ignorant, and they really don't pay attention to politics, but they pretend like they do. Most of them have no idea who their local representatives are, even if they voted. So, during election season, they'll be very loud about presidents, but they really are not focused on what matters or aware of what's going on locally. As a Black woman, you should be most concerned about your resources and your safety. Let's talk about the conservative Edward Blum. After suing to end affirmative action, thinking it helped Black girls, he's now targeting a venture capital firm that was created by Black women to help Black women start up businesses. Black women are the least likely to get a business loan by a bank and, of course, have no community resources to crowdfund or borrow from Black males. So there is a reason why they created their own funding to, as some people would say, pull themselves up by the bootstrap. But it looks like people want to cut the straps so Black women can't go up. Certain groups kept pushing for us to be the face of diversity pushes like affirmative action, as well as many liberal agendas. Despite the fact that white women and other non-Black groups were really the main people getting anything from that, liberal Black women typically, like usual, don't pay attention to what they're saying and the repercussions of that. Black women do not get into higher education or careers because of their identity. You get in by hitting the qualifications and acting having to overachieve. Edward Blum, a conservative strategist, is the one of many who have taken to targeting the resources of Black American women specifically. The left wing is very quiet about this, that actually affects us, yet loud about affirmative action, and the right wing is outright cheering it on as something that Black women deserve simply because we allegedly have privileges and get more than everyone else. Again, I really do not care about the education part of it because affirmative action is just a waste of time to talk about. So I'm really just referring to any type of scholarships, credit unions, loans, and any type of funding for us to start businesses. That's being targeted and should not be ignored by Black women voters. If you are automatically to blame for other races or the male gender getting denied for jobs or rejected by colleges, what impact do you think that will have on your success being upwardly mobile? If your mobility is attacked, you will be a part of the permanent underclass and perpetually impoverished, dependent on someone else to provide for you. not a situation you want to be in. It's very important to do your own research and have your own opinions. Various groups in America, especially for this upcoming election, want politics to be very divisive, polarizing, and extreme. And you don't have to let them force you down that road, because they will absolutely try to put you in a box every chance they get. If you say something you don't like about Democrats, they'll try to force you down a right-wing lane and vice versa. If you say something you don't like about Republicans, then they'll try to put you down the left-wing lane. You don't have to go down any lane, and you definitely should not be throwing on a cape for anyone outside of yourself. The critical thing that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for most Black women is that a lot of things are out of your control and that you cannot make a push for an entire demographic of people. For example, the criminal justice thing. Some Black women, no matter what, will just insist that is an issue for them to care about because they see Black male criminals having a knee on their neck as a problem for all Black people. When it comes to abortion, this is mostly something brought up by white women or the male gender. Usually you'll hear Black women saying things like this is something all women should care about. It does affect all women, especially since Black girls are the most sexually assaulted in the country. But unfortunately, abortion for all women can't be our priority. This is one of many topics where we don't have that much control over it, and when both liberal and conservative speak on it, they are not thinking about the well-being of Black girls and women. For Black women, we have other things to be talking about that's actually more in our control. We do have a very long list of concerns, but only some of those concerns will actually be something we can realistically make a difference on. For our group specifically, the absolute most important issue all Black women should be nonstop speaking on is our safety. We are one of the smallest percentages of the population, yet we make up the majority cases of victims of certain crimes. Black girls in America are the most trafficked and the most sexually assaulted. Black women are being unalived at an alarming rate multiple times a day in America. The people committing these crimes are Black males of all ages and income levels. So not only do you have to worry about them, you should also be worried about migrants who are mostly males being poured into majority Black communities. There are also Black women in America getting imprisoned for defending themselves against abusers. This is a point that needs to be brought up politically, but also as an individual. You should know the laws in your area, and you should know how you can legally protect yourself when you get a firearm. That's your responsibility. And no, you should not be against the Second Amendment. You should actually be the main one using it. It doesn't matter if you live in the hood or the suburbs, you are a Black woman, and you should be concerned about our safety as a collective in advocating for young Black girls who are not adults and cannot advocate for themselves. You should absolutely not be against the police in the way that liberal Black women have been against them. I've already explained in previous videos. I do not like the police generally because I simply do not like the government. But when it comes to our safety, Black women have to swallow their pride and work towards a better relationship with law enforcement. Speak personally to law enforcement officers in your area, get to know them, and express your concerns. If you live in a bad neighborhood, it's likely they hear the same old concerns all day. However, I would still recommend it. If you don't speak on your issues, no one else will address it. If they do, they will actually try to speak on your behalf, and what they will say will absolve everyone else of their wrongdoings. I'll be making a separate video about safety because not only is it a political issue, but also you have to be proactive in your own safety, not just waiting for someone else to help you. If you care about yourself, stay away from dangerous areas, stay away from dangerous people, always have a weapon in your reach, and don't think that it can't happen to you. So I just listed out the main issues that we have and what we should be concerned about the most. For the things I did not mention, I understand that they could be seen as very crucial, but again, they are not priority, or they are just not something we are affected by at a noticeable rate. People are going to keep telling you that actually your issue is something else, therefore the solution will be something they came up with. Don't listen to them. Even if some people have a similar or same issues as us, who cares? That's for them to deal with, not us. There's so many trending political topics and buzzwords that get thrown around, and it's very easy to get distracted. If you're heavily engaged in politics on social media, take a step back and realize how there's endless discourse and debates. It's easy to get distracted when you're constantly engaged. Take a step back and focus on what's really in your control and what's really your priority, specifically as a Black woman. Focus on what really matters, not smaller issues that are out of your control. Especially not during the presidential candidacy, because most of the smaller issues, you'll have to focus on that in your local area. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely do not try to depend on the government to solve problems that you have. You can advocate for yourself politically, but at the same time, you need to be proactive in fixing your issues. Do not try to depend on the government and be irresponsible just because you wrapped up a bunch of student loans and you wanted to be waived. That is absolutely not okay. Me personally, I will not be voting in the next election unless, by some miracle, a politician decides to specifically have a package for Black American girls and women addressing the issues that I've just listed and then some. If it's not addressed, then we can continue to be ignored and work on these issues outside of politics, but they will not have neither our vote or our influence. I don't feel like anyone has earned our collective support. I think it's disturbing that our vote is being given away so easily because Black women are letting more minor issues and the issues of others determine who they support. Black women should practice something that I call political discipline. Stop voting purely on emotion, outrage, or as a response to the latest news story. People are determined to create scapegoats and false solutions, like telling you to just support them because it's the moral and ethical thing to do, and it'll heal the country. Or telling you that all your high grocery bill or crime issues will magically disappear as long as you vote for them. And get married because the real issue is not the people attacking you. It's just your culture that just magically appeared from man-hating feminist Black women, which is an insulting lie. We've been the biggest victims of these violent crimes for hundreds of years, regardless of which part of the country we lived in, what culture we engaged, our socioeconomic status, and 1 million other ever-changing things. What remains the same is we remain unprotected legally and politically. All these people have given Black women the middle finger, and the specific issues we have as a collective has remained unaddressed, or we are to blame. On both sides of the political aisle, there is a pattern of behavior for others to tell Black women what they should be concerned about politically, and Black women just blindly going along with it, not questioning what they really want out of their votes and what issues they really have. Black women carried the civil rights movement and many other movements meant to help, yet everyone except for Black women has benefited. That's what happens when you are allowing yourself to be labeled as a part of a larger group, and it allows you to be drowned out by someone else while they snatch all the benefits from your advocacy. Black women are not privileged, otherwise I wouldn't have had to make this video. Anyone claiming you are getting privileges and you will be helped by getting rid of supposed privileges that don't exist. They are saying they think your perceived influence or status has negatively impacted them, and they want to knock you down a peg and step on you. So ladies, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about our generations voting for 2024 and future elections. Of course, we are not a monolith and can't all vote the same, but there are typically patterns of behavior in voting blocks.